It was too big to be called a sword. Massive, thick, heavy, and rough. In truth, it was a heap of raw iron. This iconic phrase, spoken by the blacksmith Godo, marked the birth of a legend, the Dragon Slayer. More than just a simple weapon, this immense blade would become the symbol of the fury and vengeance of Guts, the Black Swordsman. But what do we really know about this sword? What is the true story behind its creation? And why was only one man capable of wielding it? Stay until the end, because today you will discover all the secrets of the Dragon Slayer. The first time it was wielded, the Dragon Slayer made its debut in chapter 94 of the manga, a chapter with a very suggestive title, The One Who Hunts Dragons. At that moment in the story, Guts was facing an apostle known as the Guardian, an ancient servant of the Count who, after a cruel fate, became a demonic aberration. During the combat, Guts realized that his common sword was insufficient against the monster. Then, amid the chaos, his eyes found a gigantic weapon leaning against a wall. The blade was over 2 meters tall and weighed an absurd amount. But Guts did not hesitate. With a single blow, he tore the Guardian apart. It was there that the Dragon Slayer found its true owner. The origin of the sword. The Dragon Slayer was forged by Godo, one of the most skilled blacksmiths of Berserk. But this was not a weapon created to be used in battle. It all began when a king commissioned a sword large enough to kill a dragon. Tired of the ridiculous demands of the nobles, Godo decided to give an answer that matched. He created a gigantic and impractical sword. It was his way of saying enough to the whims of the powerful. The king, furious upon seeing that the weapon was unusable, condemned Godo, forcing him to flee to the mountains, where he went on to live as a reclusive blacksmith. And so, the Dragon Slayer remained forgotten for years, until Guts appeared and proved that it was not so unusable after all. The true power of the Dragon Slayer. In the real world, if a sword like this existed, it would weigh about 175 kilos. It would be impossible for any ordinary person to handle. But Guts is not an ordinary man. Since childhood, he always wielded enormous swords. At 6 years old, he was already fighting with blades disproportionate to his age. At 9, he faced enemies in real battles. At 15, his sword was already larger than most warriors. There was no weapon too big for him, and when the Dragon Slayer appeared in his life, it seemed as if it had been made just for him. But the sword is not just a piece of enormous iron. As Guts massacres apostles and evil beings, the blade absorbs the malice of these entities, becoming an even more powerful weapon. Its power grows with each defeated enemy, and its astral aura becomes increasingly intense. A symbol of challenge. The name Dragon Slayer can be interpreted in multiple ways. In a literal sense, it was a sword forged to kill dragons, although, ironically, it was never used for such a deed. However, within the context of the story, dragons can symbolize the apostles and the powerful beings that Guts faces throughout his journey. There is also a colder and more rebellious interpretation. The Dragon Slayer was created as an affront to the nobles, a middle finger from Godo to those who saw weapons as mere status symbols. But in the end, one man emerged, wielded this monstrosity, and proved that it could indeed be used to devastate his enemies. And if dragons exist because humans cannot defeat them, then what should we call a man who defeats them? The future of the Dragon Slayer. Over time, the sword has become increasingly stronger. Its aura of destruction grows as it faces ever more powerful enemies. But how far can this go? Could it be that the Dragon Slayer would become something like the resonant sword, capable of cutting through space itself? Or perhaps its true destiny is something else? What we know is that this weapon continues to evolve, and Guts continues his journey, facing impossible creatures and defying a cruel fate. And as long as he exists, the Dragon Slayer will continue to fulfill its purpose, to destroy everything and everyone that crosses its path. And you? Do you think the Dragon Slayer will gain new powers? Leave your opinion in the comments and share this video with those who are also fans of Berserk. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.